Welcome back, dear friends, to Holiday History, the place where the world slows down for a while, the lights dim, and history comes alive by firelight. If you're new here, grab something warm to sip, maybe a cup of cocoa or tea, and cozy up. And if you're one of our returning listeners, welcome back. I'm so glad you're here again. Don't forget to subscribe and tell me where you're listening from tonight in the comments below. It's always heartwarming to see our little community stretch across states, countries and continents, all listening together under the same winter sky. Now, imagine this: the faint smell of pine needles, a twinkle of light reflecting on glass ornaments, the quiet rustle of wrapped gifts below. The Christmas tree stands at the center of the room, just as it does in millions of homes around the world. But have you ever wondered why we bring an entire tree into the house every December? Or how a simple evergreen, once worshipped in ancient forests, became a global icon of warmth and wonder? Its story stretches back far beyond Christmas itself, through the fires of pagan solstice rituals, medieval marketplaces, royal palaces, and bustling city squares. The evergreen has been a symbol of life, endurance, and hope since the dawn of civilization. So tonight, as the snow falls softly outside and the world feels still, let's follow the branches of history, from the sacred groves of our ancestors to the sparkling living rooms of today, to uncover the remarkable story of the Christmas tree. Part 1. Evergreens in the Ancient World. To understand the Christmas tree, we must go back, far back, to a time when the world was ruled by darkness for half the year. In Northern Europe, winter could last for months. The sun would vanish behind clouds, crops would die, and animals would retreat into burrows. People feared that the light might never return. But then, in the midst of the bleakness, they saw the evergreen. Pine, fir, holly, and ivy all kept their colour, stubbornly alive while everything else withered. These plants became symbols of hope, tokens that life somehow endured. Among the Druids of Britain, evergreen branches were considered sacred. They decorated their temples with holly and ivy, believing the greenery offered protection from dark spirits. The Celts associated the evergreen oak with rebirth and the turning of the seasons, its mistletoe berries glistening like drops of winter sunlight. In Scandinavia, during the 12 days of Yule, homes were filled with green boughs and evergreen wreaths to honour the gods and welcome the returning sun. Great feasts were held beside roaring fires, and families kept one log burning for 12 nights. The origin of the Yule log, to ensure good fortune in the year ahead. In Rome, the festival of Saturnalia transformed the city into a sea of green. Citizens wound laurel and pine garlands around columns, traded gifts and hung wreaths on doors to honour Saturn, the god of agriculture. To them, the evergreen represented continuity, the unbroken rhythm of life and time. It was a silent reassurance that after the darkness, the sun would rise again. When Christianity spread across Europe, missionaries often found these solstice customs impossible to erase. And so, rather than forbid them, they reimagined them the evergreen, once the tree of pagan gods, became a symbol of eternal life through Christ. Its unchanging colour a reminder that faith endures even in the coldest winter. The ancient reverence for green life survived, now transformed, but never forgotten. Part 2. The First Christmas Trees in Medieval Europe. Travel now to medieval Germany, where the cold air smells of wood smoke and baked bread, and townsfolk gather in the marketplace for winter pageants. Every December 24th, the feast day of Adam and Eve, communities staged paradise plays, telling the story of creation and the fall of man. At the centre of the stage stood the tree of knowledge, not a fig or apple tree, but a fir tree, the only greenery available in winter. Red apples were hung from its branches to represent temptation, and wafers symbolized redemption. Before long, people began placing small fir trees in their own homes to mark the day. These paradise trees were decorated with fruit, nuts, and sweet treats for children to enjoy on Christmas morning. A chronicle from Bremen in 1570 described merchants' homes adorned with small fir trees, decorated with apples, nuts, dates, pretzels, and paper flowers. The story of Martin Luther soon followed. Legend says that one snowy evening he paused beneath a forest of evergreens. Their branches glittering with starlight, he brought a small tree indoors and placed candles upon its boughs to recreate that celestial sight for his children. Whether truth or myth, the image captured the heart of Europe. A tree filled with light, symbolizing divine grace, shining in darkness. By the 1600s, the Christmas tree had become a household tradition throughout Germany. Each family crafted its own decorations. Gilded nuts, apples wrapped in foil, ribbons of dyed paper. The trees were small, modest and personal, but they shimmered with faith and beauty. From here, the idea would slowly begin its journey outward, carried across borders, across centuries, and eventually across oceans. Part 3. Royal Roots and Victorian Bloom. By the 19th century, the Christmas tree was still mostly a German custom. That is, until love and royalty helped it spread to the world. When Prince Albert of Saxe-Coburg married Queen Victoria in 1840, he brought with him the traditions of his homeland. Each Christmas, the royal family gathered around a decorated fir tree at Windsor Castle. Candles flickered among the branches. Sweets, nuts, and little gifts hung from ribbons. Then, in 1848, the Illustrated London News published an engraving of the royal family standing around their tree. The image was enchanting. The young queen, the prince, their children, the glowing fir. A picture of family harmony and domestic warmth. Almost overnight, the Christmas tree became a sensation. British households rushed to emulate their monarchs, setting up small trees in parlours and decorating them with fruit, lace, and handcrafted ornaments. German artisans, especially those from Lauscha, began producing delicate glass ornaments, the first baubles, blown and hand-painted to reflect candlelight. Wealthier families draped their trees in ribbons of silver tinsel, made from real silver, while children strung garlands of popcorn and cranberries. As the Industrial Revolution filled cities with soot and steel, the Christmas tree offered a reminder of nature. A little forest brought into the heart of the home. It became a symbol of family unity, nostalgia, and innocence in an age of rapid change. Across the Atlantic, German immigrants in Pennsylvania and Ohio carried the tradition with them. By the 1850s, trees appeared in American homes, and by the 1870s, city squares began selling them by the wagon load. President Franklin Pierce displayed one at the White House, and public admiration grew. In both England and America, the tree became more than decoration. It became ritual. Families gathered to trim it together, to tell stories beside it, to pile gifts beneath it. And so, an old symbol of nature and divinity found new life in the glow of Victorian candles, reborn as the heart of the modern Christmas home. Part 4. The Modern Tree. Lights, Decorations and Pop Culture. At the dawn of the 20th century, the Christmas tree was ready to embrace the future, quite literally glowing with it. In 1882, Edward H. Johnson, a friend and partner of Thomas Edison, created the first electrically lit tree. He hand-wired 80 bulbs, in red, white and blue, around a small evergreen in his New York parlor. Reporters called it a beautiful sight to behold. At a time when most Americans had never seen electric light, it felt like magic. By the 1920s, strings of lights were mass-produced and affordable, allowing homes everywhere to sparkle safely without open flames. The soft glow of electric bulbs soon replaced the flicker of candles. Then came the explosion of ornament design. Glassblowers, manufacturers, and department stores competed for attention. Woolworths sold thousands of shimmering baubles for a few cents each. Post-war families added aluminum icicles, plastic reindeer, and bubble lights that danced like liquid fire. By mid-century, the Christmas tree was as much a public spectacle as a private one. In 1931, workers building Rockefeller Center erected a humble 20-foot tree on the construction site, a symbol of hope during the Great Depression. Just 2 years later, it became an official annual tradition, and today it draws millions to its lighting ceremony each December. Cities from Paris to Tokyo soon hosted their own lightings, and radio broadcasts carried the moment to listeners worldwide. Television amplified the magic, the glowing tree in It's a Wonderful Life, the humble sapling of A Charlie Brown Christmas, the colourful forests of department store windows in New York, London and Chicago. Even advertising joined in. Coca-Cola's Rosy Santa posed beside glowing evergreens. Department stores used trees as backdrops for toys, and greeting cards spread the image across continents. The tree evolved with each decade, from the sparkling silver aluminum trees of the 1950s to the oversized real pines of the 1980s, to the eco-friendly, reusable trees of today. But the heart of the ritual never changed, gathering with loved ones, decorating together, and standing back to admire that first moment when the lights flicker on and the room fills with quiet wonder. Part 5. Roots and Meaning. Why the Tree Endures. Why does this one tradition endure so powerfully when so many others fade? Because the tree speaks to something ancient, something deep within us. It's not only about religion or history, it's about light and life in a season of darkness. For Christians, it represents the everlasting life promised by faith. Its triangular shape points heavenward, its greenery eternal. For non-religious families, it is a symbol of hope, renewal, and togetherness. The forest brought indoors, life preserved against the frost. Each ornament tells a story. The handmade angel that's slightly crooked, the paper snowflake cut by a child's small hands, the fragile glass bird passed down through generations. Together they form a living scrapbook, a portrait of memory and love. Across the globe, each culture has added its own meaning. In Ukraine, silver spiderwebs shimmer in honor of a legend where a poor family awoke to find their tree draped in webs that turned to gold. In Mexico, the tree stands beside the Nativity, bridging two worlds of belief. In Norway and Sweden, straw animals recall the old Yule goat, a spirit of winter's bounty. Even in Japan, where Christmas is secular, decorated trees fill city squares as symbols of peace and goodwill. And now, in the age of sustainability, many people plant new trees after Christmas, or use living potted ones that can be returned to the earth, completing the circle that began thousands of years ago with the reverence of the first pagans for the green and living world. Perhaps that's why the tree never loses its meaning. Every December, when the lights glow against the snow, we're reminded that the cold will pass, the days will lengthen, and life, like the evergreen, will return once more. And that, dear friends, is the story of the Christmas tree. From sacred groves to palace halls, from medieval plays to your very own living room. The evergreen has been many things across time: a pagan charm, a Christian emblem, a royal fashion, a symbol of modern joy. But through every century, it has whispered the same promise, that even in darkness, light endures. If you enjoyed tonight's story, don't forget to subscribe for more holiday tales told by firelight, and let me know in the comments below. What ornament or memory means the most on your tree this year? Perhaps it's something handmade, something inherited, or simply the moment when your family gathers to plug in the lights and watch that first soft glow. And if you'd like to help keep these fires burning and new stories coming, you can support Holiday History on Patreon. Every little bit helps keep our hearth warm and our history alive. Until next time, keep your cocoa close, your hearts kind, and your lights glowing bright. From our hearth to yours, Merry Christmas and good night.